Welcome to Mindful Leadership, Transforming Lives, with your host, Singh. This is where leadership meets purpose, presence, and passion. In today's fast paced, high pressure world, we face a leadership crisis. Too often, teams are led by managers who lack empathy, clarity, and vision, leaving individuals uninspired, disconnected, and undervalued. But it doesn't have to be this way. Great leadership isn't born, it's built. The end game: empower your leadership, inspire the world. Every week, join me, your host Singh, as we tackle the gaps in leadership and life coaching head on, learning how mindfulness, emotional intelligence, and compassion can redefine success. This isn't just another podcast, it's a mission to fill the void left by ineffective leadership. And it's not just about leadership in business. Life coaching for leaders and new executives is at heart of this journey. Ready to rise above the noise and lead with clarity, purpose, and impact? Join a global movement dedicated to reshaping the future of leadership one mindful moment at a time. Let's begin.
Welcome back to another episode of Mindful Leadership Podcast on the Transformation Network, the podcast where we turn stress into strategy, overthinking into clarity, and overwhelm into momentum. I am your host, Singh, the leadership coach who knows what growth does not happen through burnout. It happens through alignment. Last year, I worked with a team that hit rock bottom. The project crashed overnight, funding gone, deadlines dragged, and morale, let's say it was somewhere between should we even bother or let's all quit. But instead of spiraling, they made one simple pivot. No magic formula, no 80-hour work weeks, just a tiny shift in how they approached the chaos. That move did not just save the project, it doubled the results. Now, that is resilience. And here's the thing, resilience is not about bouncing back, it's about bouncing forward. Because in a world where uncertainty is the new normal, if you are just trying to get back to where you were, you're already behind. Now, whether it is AI, excuse me, whether it is AI shaking up industries, your hybrid team juggling Slack, Zoom, mysterious statuses, or just trying to keep your team motivated for another Monday morning, something gone wrong? Resilience is the number one skill your team needs to thrive. Today, we dive into exactly how to build it. I'll walk you through the mindful pivot, a simple, actionable framework to lead your team through uncertainty with clarity, confidence, and purpose. And don't worry, we will have some laugh along the way because let's be real. Resilient is not about being a superhero. It's about knowing when to pause, breathe, and make the next best move without snapping like a stretched rubber band. So let's get to it. Ready to bounce forward? Let's begin. Let's get real for a second. Resilience is not just some feel good buzzword that you slap on motivational poster next to a mountain. And it is no longer optional. It is a skill your team needs to survive and thrive in today's world, where uncertainty is like that one coworker who always shows up uninvited and stays way too long. But here is the $1 million question. What does resilience actually look like in action? Is it about being tough or working harder? No. Resilience is about building teams that adapt, think forward, and support each other no matter what chaos comes their way. So let me break it down for you into three key pillars. Now, these are non-negotiables of resilience. And I promise if you get these right, your team will go from hanging on by a thread to unstoppable force of nature. First up, adaptability. Let me say is loud and clear. If your team cannot adapt, they are toast. And I don't mean the artisanal sourdough kind, I mean burnt, forgotten in the toaster toast. And here's the deal, adaptability is your team's ability to pivot and adjust when things do not go as planned. And let's be honest, when does anything ever go as planned? Think of adaptability like a GPS. You're driving along and boom, traffic jam. Your GPS does not scream, it reroutes. The destination stays the same, but your path changes. And here is the tough question: are you creating a team with a culture that is flexible, or you are stuck in this is how you're always done mode? Because let me tell you, this is how we have always done it mode is fastest way to make your team irrelevant. Look at companies like Blockbuster versus Netflix. Netflix did not just pivot once, they have been rerouting since day one, from DVDs to streaming to original content. Meanwhile, Blockbusters were like, nah, let's just keep renting DVDs. And you know how that story ends. Next up, mindset. Resilience starts in the mind. How how your team views challenges will make or break them. Do they see these obstacles as permanent roadblocks, or do they see them as an opportunity to innovate? Let's go back to Netflix for a second. The pivot was not just about technology, it was about mindset. They did not cling to their past success. They did not say, we are a DVD company or we are a streaming company. They said, we are an entertainment platform. Now, that was a mind shift. When you are leading a team, you set the tone. But if you're panicking, your team will panic. And if you're calm and focused, they will follow your lead. And how I know it? When ransomware attacked, I was in that position of panicking the most. And I would have taken the entire organization right down with me if I had panicked. Big question for you: how does your team frame challenges? Are they seeing problems as the end of the world or as a chance to get better? If it is former, it is time for a reset. And finally, the third pillar, support. So let's be very clear: resilience is not a solo act, it is a team sport. If one person is doing all the heavy lifting, it is only a matter of time before something or someone breaks. Think of resilience like moving a couch, right? If one person carrying all the weight, someone is pulling a muscle, and it is probably not the couch. But when everyone pitches in, suddenly it's manageable. I have worked with a team that was on the brink of burnout. Everyone was working in silos. No one wanted to ask for help. And it was not until we had an open conversation about support, above everything, the simple question about how we all are in this together, that things start to turn around. So, the big question for you here is, have you created a culture where it is okay to ask for help? Where people feel safe enough to say, I'm struggling, because that is the difference between a team that thrives and one that crashes. So let's bring it home. Resilience is not about working harder or pretending you have got it all together. It's about three simple things: adaptability, your GPS, mindset, read out, don't panic. The mindset, reframe challenges as opportunities, and support, build a culture where everyone has each other's back. When you combine these three pillars, you are not just bouncing back, you're building a team that becomes unstoppable no matter what challenge comes your way. So here is your action item. Take a look at your team this week. Ask yourself, where are we strong and where do we need to level up? Make one small change, just one, and watch the ripple effect it has on resilience. Because again, resilience is not about being perfect, it's about showing up, adapting, and moving forward together. So let's talk about the secret sauce for leading teams through mindful chaos. This framework is my go to when things hit the fan. A project derailing, a team member dropping the ball, or I don't know. I mean, company Slack going down for half a day, and basically no one can operate. But here's the thing, when the unexpected happens, most leaders either freeze or overreact. They panic, they micromanage, or they throw out a bunch of ideas hoping one sticks. But great leaders, they pause, assess, and pivot. Now, before I get in the details, one thing I want you to take through all my discussions is very simple. These are not just ideas that you have to listen. Each exercise, each conversation is helping you to stack your probability of winning. Are you stacking your probability in life to win? All right. So, first one, pause. Before you do anything, hit the brakes. Again, I keep going back to mindful practice. It's all about pausing and becoming the observer. The leadership version of not sending that late night email, you will regret the next morning. You know the one where you somehow manage to CC three wrong people and use all caps to ask why the report is not done. Yeah, don't be that leader. Instead, pause, take a beat, give yourself and your team a chance to breathe. So the next time you have a high pressure moment, resist the urge to react immediately. Count to five, literally. Three breath. And if counting feels weird, just say, let me think about this for a second. That one sentence can buy you the space to respond intentionally instead of impulsively. Because when you pause, you are not just calming yourself, you're modeling that calm for your team. And trust me, calm is contagious. If you are the leader running around like your hair's on fire, your team is going to grab a bucket of water and probably start throwing it at each other because they cannot throw at you. So pausing sets the tone. Once you have paused, it is time to assess the observer. What is actually going on here? What is the real challenge? And this is the key. What opportunities does it present? Whenever I have this conversation, I always ask one question. When was the last time you literally saw the mirror? Literally saw the mirror. Go back to 2020. Remember how some companies panicked when world went remote? Companies froze, freaked out, and spent months trying to recreate the office environment on Zoom. Meanwhile, forward thinking teams paused and asked, what is the opportunity here? They did not try to force the old way of working, they adapted. Now, these are the teams and companies that are still thriving. Now, as a leader, your job is not just to solve problems, it is to dig deeper and ask what really is happening here. Sometimes you just have to ask not only what, but why behind the what and what behind the why. Because sometimes the problem is not the problem, it is how you're looking at it. Next time your team brings you a problem, here's a quick test. Instead of jumping into a fix it mode, ask two questions. What is the real challenge here? And what does this challenge make possible? The second question is a game changer because now you get to the fun part, pivot. This is where you make a conscious shift, adjust your strategy, but don't lose sight of the end goal. A pivot is not a complete 180-degree turn. Think of it like a basketball pivot. You keep one foot planted, your purpose to get to point A to point B, and you use the other to adjust your direction. You are still in the game, still on the offense, but now you're moving in a way that makes sense for current play. Let's talk about Airbnb. When pandemic hit, the entire business model, travel essentially shut down overnight. But instead of throwing in the towel, they pivoted. They focused on local stays and remote work-friendly rentals. That one shift not only kept them afloat, it helped them grow twice. Because when you pivot, keep your core values and goals anchored. You are just taking a shift in the moment, not changing your direction. And don't pivot for the sake of pivoting, pivot with a purpose. So there you have it. The mindful pivot, three simple steps. Pause, take a beat, take a breath, stop, don't react, get ready to respond. Assess and ask what really is happening here and what does this make possible. And then pivot, adjust your strategy while staying grounded in your purpose. And here's the beauty of this framework, it keeps you and your team grounded and focused, even when everything around you feels like chaos. And when you are, and your team sees you lead with intention, not only that you're doing, when your team sees you leading with intention, they will follow your example. Here's your action. Think about a challenge your team is facing right now. Maybe it is a deadline, a project that has gone sideways, whatever it is. Run it through your mindful pivot framework. Pause, assess, and pivot. Because resilience is not about having all the answers, it is about asking the right questions and making the next best move. That's leadership. That's resilience. That is probabilistic stacking towards your goal. All right, let's be honest. Resilience sounds noble and inspiring, but in real life, it is often messy, awkward, and full of moments that belong in a blooper reel. Because if resilience is muscle, failure is the gym, right? And let me tell you, I have had some seriously awkward workouts in this life. Let me take you back to one of my top tier leadership failures. Ponder this. 5 minutes before a big pitch, my team is stressed, the energy is low, and I think you know what this moment needs? A rousing pep talk. So I launch into this epic monologue about rising like a phoenix from the ashes. I'm going full Shakespeare, painting a picture of a fiery rebirth, and then mid sentence, someone on my team raises their hand and goes, what is a phoenix? At that time, I realized two things. One, not everyone is familiar with mythical birds. But two, my my pep talk had officially derailed its biology lesson. So, safe to say, we did not rise anything that day, except maybe confused chickens. And here's another one for the books. A colleague of mine once said, let's pivot during a crisis. Sounded great, bold, visionary, except the next thing they did was scheduled a 5 separate meetings to figure out how to pivot. Now, you know what we ended doing? Nothing. We did not pivot. We spent so much time discussing planning the pivot that opportunity passed us by. It was like watching somebody standing at a revolver door, trying to draft a strategy for how to walk through it. Sometimes you just have to get to go, or else you just walk out of the revolving door, the one that you entered. Now, these fails, they are part of the process. Resilience is not about getting everything right every time. It is about learning, growing, and laughing at yourself along the way. Because let's face it, if you're not failing, you're not stretching. Resilience is not a straight line, it is a series of stumbles, recoveries, adjustments. So if you have had your own Phoenix moment or spent too much time planning a pivot that never happened, you are in a good company. Every stumble is a step forward as long as you keep going. So think about a recent fail, something that you want off the rails, but taught you something very valuable. What did you learn? How did it help you and your team to grow? Write it down, life about it, then share with your team because resilience does not have to look graceful. It just have to keep moving. All right. It is time to shift gears and talk about something very practical. So, if you think about team resilience check-in process, think about the biggest challenge your team is facing right now. A project struggling to adapt to new changes, or maybe just something universal, like figuring out why logging into your company's HR portal feels harder than solving a Rubik's Cube, right? Whatever. Now, let's run it through a quick mindful pivot framework together. So, pause. What is your initial reaction to this challenge? Frustration, panic, or that classic leadership move, pretending it's not happening and hoping it magically resolves itself? Now, here's what I want you to do: take a deep breath, seriously, right now. Inhale and exhale. Why? Because pausing is about creating space to think clearly rather than just reacting in the heat of the moment. It's like hitting the timeout button in a basketball game. You're not quitting the game, you are just regrouping. So ask yourself, what is your gut telling you? And is that reaction helpful, or is it just noise? And write it down if you can. Next step, assess. Take a step back and ask, what is really happening here? What is the why behind this what? And what is the what behind that why? I do a very simple exercise. I always, whenever I get in a meeting, I ask three simple questions. Quick, 30 seconds. First one, what is the individual and collective outcome out of this conversation? Second, if I was not here, who would be the next best person to be solving this problem? And if I did not have to solve this problem, what else I would be dealing with? Because see, challenges often come with a lot of emotional baggage, stress, frustration, blame. But when you strip all that away, what is the actual problem? And more importantly, what opportunities does it present? I gave you example of pandemic. A lot of teams had to shift to remote work practically overnight. Some leaders got stuck on how are we going to recreate office experience? But the best teams ask, what does the shift make possible? So for your challenge, ask yourself, what is the real issue here and what opportunity is hiding in plain sight? Write them too. Finally, pivot. This is where you take all that clarity from pausing and assessing and turn it into action. And ask yourself one small adjustment you can make today that will move you forward with clarity and purpose. Think of this like steering a ship, right? You don't need to turn the wheel all the way to change course. Sometimes a 1 degree shift is all it takes to head in a better direction. Your pivot does not have to be monumental. It could be as simple as having an open conversation with your team, reprioritizing a task, or even just telling, go, let go of something that is not working. So pause what your real initial reaction is. Assess what really is happening and what opportunities you can find. And pivot. What is one small adjustment you can make today? Now, take 5 minutes after this episode, write down your answers to these questions, then share with them, with your team. Because resilience is not built in isolation, it is built together. And if you're listening while driving or running errands, just think it through in your head, but don't skip the step. The point is not just know the framework, it is to use it. Because resilience is not about perfection, it is about progress. All right. Um, if you have been listening today thinking, wow, I could really use a game plan for myself, I have got exactly what you need, the purpose factor assessment. This is not just another personality quiz or leadership fluff. It's 25-minute science-based diagnostic that digs into three things: what drives you, what drains you, and where hidden blind spots are slowing you down. Most of our time as leaders, we are so busy putting out fires and managing day-to-day chaos that we don't stop to figure out what is actually holding us back. And let's be honest, sometimes it is us. The best part, once you take the assessment, we are not just leaving you hanging. I'm offering private one on one sessions where I'll personally walk you through your result. No group webinar, no canned advice. 90 minutes of real talk about what is standing in your way and, more importantly, how to fix it. And I'm doing this because clarity is not something you stumble upon, it is something you build. I talked about probability stacking. Because when you lead with clarity, it is not just you who benefits, it's your entire team rises with you. So go to the this show. In the show information, I have put the link. Take the purpose factor assessment. It's free, no strings attached, and it could be breakthrough you did not know you needed. Remember, resilience is not about being unbreakable, it's about being adaptable. When you understand what truly drives you, you don't just adapt, you thrive. This is your host Singh, and you're listening to Mindful Leadership on Transformation Network. Go out there, lead proud, and always lead with resilience. You have got this, and I've got your back every step of the way. Have a great day.
Thank you for watching Mindful Leadership Transforming Lives. With me, your host, Singh. We are honored to have you join us on this journey to explore the transformative power of mindfulness, emotional intelligence, and authentic leadership. Tune in every week on transformationtalkradio.com at noon Pacific on Tuesdays, where we will continue to explore how mindful leadership can create a ripple effect of positive changes in your life and lives of those you influence. This show is dedicated to helping you lead with purpose, presence, and passion. Whether you're navigating the complexities of business, building strong connection with your team, or striving to make a meaningful impact in the world around you. To learn more about the show, access additional resources, or dive deeper, visit singpowerupcoach.com. Remember, leadership isn't just about what you do, it's about who you are. Let's continue to transform lives together, one mindful moment at a time. See you next week.